Hi everyone, this is Michael with the general reading for Gemini Sun, Moon, and Rising. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so thrilled to do your reading. The outpouring of support that came out for the last Gemini reading was just amazing. So thank you so much for your likes, shares, and subscribes. Your support really helps me put these messages out there and keep bringing out this free content and free messages. So thank you so much. This is an absolute gift because this community is so amazing. The tarot community online it's this booming group of people and this booming community, and there's just so much support, and it's really not like any of the other online communities. So thank you for letting me be a part of it, and thank you for being a part of it as well. I am very excited to do your reading. I was just shuffling the deck and kind of tuning into your energy. For those of you who don't know, I actually determine the video order based on what cards fall out as I'm shuffling. And you popped out as the Lovers. This is a Gemini card, for those of you who aren't aware. And it actually came out with the Page of Wands in reverse and the Five of Swords in reverse. So I do feel like some of you might have walked away from a situation, or someone walked away from you. This could potentially be a romantic relationship. It felt like it was pretty close to you coming up with the Lovers, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic bond. It may have been with a fire sign or someone who had a lot of fire in their chart. With this Page of Wands in reverse, this could be an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, but they're showing up a bit immature or a bit out of balance here. We do see a lack of enthusiasm, kind of burnt out energy. It's almost like there was just something you needed to walk away from for a little while, or someone else needed to walk away from it. Perhaps they walked away from you, and now they're coming back. One of you is coming back to the other person, and it does seem like there's some sort of desire to reconcile. And again, this is obviously a very general message, so it's not going to apply to everyone, especially for the pre-energy read. This is just a message I like to share because I feel like when other cards come out with an indicator card, it's kind of telling me a story, and it usually does play out in the rest of the reading, so we'll probably get a better idea as we go on. I do also know that astrologically you have Jupiter in the sign of Sagittarius, which is your opposite sign, and especially if you are a Gemini rising or a Gemini ascendant, you are going to have a lot of there's a lot of focus on your relationships and a lot of thinking about long term, how you want your relationships to look, the types of people you want to be partnered up with. And maybe that's why this person is coming back from the past, or maybe just even mentally you're thinking a lot about a situation from the past and it's kind of coming to the forefront of your mind for this reading. It seems like there is some sort of harmony that needs to be reached here, or some sort of coming back together, regardless of whether that's a full-on reconciliation or just making amends. I think it's important that some sort of communication happens because someone is going to be coming back soon, and you know, someone was not acting right. Someone honestly was acting pretty immature. That could have been you, it could have been the other person. I'm just calling it like I see it. And I don't think it was necessarily ill will. I don't feel like this was directed at the other person, if that makes any sense. There was wounds that were coming up. There was kind of this ego battle, this power struggle that was really coming up very strongly. So I think this is going to help you move on with the rest of your relationships, the way that you view relationships in general. We do also have a lot of interesting energy happening with Mercury right at the start of May. That is going to be in the sign of, I want to say it's Aries, and it's going to be sextiling Mars, which is actually in Gemini. So there is going to be a lot of passionate communication. Perhaps this is why this is coming up now too. This might not have even happened for some of you yet, but I feel like whatever this is, it's kind of temporary. Whatever walking away has happened or is going to happen, it's temporary, kind of in this rough time window. And that is also squaring up with Saturn and Pluto, both in Capricorn, which tells me again, yes, there's definitely a lot of power struggle. There's a lot of power dynamics that are making things very complicated. This could even be at work. And it's really, it's a good opportunity for you to speak up for yourself and for you to advocate for yourself, or perhaps another person as well. Perhaps you're the one who needs to advocate for a fire sign who is feeling a bit defeated or feeling a bit overwhelmed or just loss of energy or loss of enthusiasm or focus. I definitely see that there needs to be some serious working together, some serious cooperation here, and there's some beautiful things that could come forward from that. With those outer planets, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter all being in retrograde, there is just a lot of focus about the future right now in general, the ways that we are attaining power and achieving status in the world. And that's going to be kind of across the board. But for you specifically, there's actually going to be kind of an interesting twist when it comes to partnerships as well, with Sagittarius being your opposite sign. So there's all of that. Before we actually begin our reading, I do just want to disclaim again that these are general readings. Not all of the messages that come through are meant for everyone. It's fine. Sometimes you're just not in resonance with a certain collective. But if you're here, I'm sure there's something here for you. It's just up for your own discretion for what fits and what you should leave behind. You are your own best psychic after all. I am also going to begin doing love readings. That was highly requested in a most recent poll that I did. And you can expect those mid-month, so about around the 15th. And yeah, I'm excited to do those. It's so amazing to be able to do these readings. Sometimes it can be a lot of work, but then when I actually start doing it, it's just like, oh, I actually really do love this. So thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to give these messages to you and allowing this channel to grow. It's amazing. So thank you again. I'm trying to think if there's any other messages or any other energy I'm picking up on before we begin our actual reading. Not that I can think of. Okay, so I think we're just gonna begin. I'm just gonna kind of sort out the deck here really quickly. Okay. I was told to shuffle 2 times. So what are the general messages for the sign of Gemini in May 2019? What is the guidance for Gemini in May 2019? Let's see. So we have the Strength card coming up in reverse. 10 of Cups, very, very nice. And the Page of Swords. So these 3 cards represent the past energy coming into May, what's going to be having an impact throughout the month or influence throughout the month. It seems like you're coming into May feeling very tired, very tested with this Strength card. You might actually be ill, some of you, or just very fatigued or tired, worn out at the start of May. You almost feel... I was actually getting this sense of dizziness or vertigo when I was tuning into your energy earlier, just this almost faint feeling. Some of you are really needing some sleep, I feel like. But your strength has definitely been tested in some sort of situation. You could also be dealing with a Leo. This is a Leo card as well. I feel like whatever this is, something might actually be falling away in terms of work or career, or even in the home. This is the day-to-day position, kind of the physical position. So something might have just faded out over time, and some of you may have to be moving on to something else. However, with this 10 of Cups showing up in the heart of the past, emotionally things are actually looking really well. Whatever this strength in reverse is, I feel like emotionally you're in a very, very good place, and this could be in your relationships as well. Some of you might be in a very beautiful bond and just really healed by that, or you might have met someone new who you feel this very strong connection to, and that's very nice. It could potentially be a Leo, or it could potentially be another air sign, so another Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. I feel like you're just really focused on what it is that makes you happy. That's really coming in strongly for the past energy, and that makes sense when we were talking about Jupiter being retrograde in Sagittarius, your opposite sign. It really does seem like there's something beautiful happening in a relationship. Something might have actually been healed and worked on. There might have been some sort of reconciliation for some of you. And I actually believe, you know, saying all of this was actually your reading last month. So some of you may very well have actually reconciled or be in the process of doing so. And this Page of Swords is a message that's coming in. I think there is going to be some communication, or there already has been, rather, but it could still be coming for some of you. Time in these readings can be very fluid because they are general readings, so don't look at it as like a solid framework or a schedule by any means. But there, just in terms of progression, this is kind of in the past energy. This is kind of moving forward. So this is where this reading is starting out. And mentally, you're feeling very clear, very excited, very ready to start a new thing, or to go forward, to go into something new or unknown, to go into that next level. I feel like you're feeling quite adventurous and quite, it's just, it feels like it's in a good place. Even though you're tired, it might have definitely worn you out, whatever it was you were working on. There is definitely some real sweetness here, so that's nice to see. I'm glad to see that. What is happening for Gemini? Also, I just want to say really quickly, the Strength card in reverse, this could be a Leo that you are working with. That's almost the impression I'm getting more. Someone who's kind of blocking you off, who you might also be doing all the work for. They might not be putting in their fair share. Just a very imbalanced energy here. Someone's doing all the heavy lifting, and I almost feel like it's you, Gemini, actually. Regardless of whether that person is a Leo or not, it seems like someone who has some sort of superiority over you or some sort of position over you is putting a lot of stress on you. So let's see. What is the animal wisdom for the past for Gemini? Yeah, so we have Dragonfly here, and this is a very interesting card because Dragonfly is a creature of the air element, as indicated by the alchemical symbol for air at the top of the card. It is also very connected to water, as it's also very often found around ponds or rivers or streams. It really spends its life between these two worlds, between ideas and emotions, and there's just a lot of movement that happens with this creature, a lot of change in direction, very sudden shifting. So it does seem like there was a time of shifting. So things were just, it seems like you weren't expecting things to change or to develop the way that they did. And I almost get the sense that you are doubting it. I did notice at the bottom of the deck here, I did place the deck upside down. We have this unicorn card as well, which is a very mental card. It's actually represented by the third eye in this deck. And the dragonfly is a very mental creature. Whenever it emerges, it tells us that we need to be very mindful of the state of our thoughts. Are they clear and steady, or are they shaky, rippling? You know, what are you really seeing? You might not be seeing things super clearly coming into May. I have to say that. So it's very important to meditate when this card shows up and to do breath work, to watch your breath, to mind your breath, take deep breaths if you find yourself feeling short of breath. There's almost this, it just feels like things are happening very quickly for you. Let's take a peek now at the beginning of May. This is going to be for the first half. Interesting. So we have this Page of Cups in reverse. Six of Pentacles. And the Moon card. I do definitely feel like some of you are going to be working with or communicating with a water sign. With this Page of Cups here, this could be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And we also have the Moon, which is the Pisces card as well. So there's a good chance that you may actually be dealing a Pisces, some of you. But it seems like whatever is happening here, there is this lack of emotional maturity or responsibility, not taking responsibility for the way one feels. There could be blocked off intuition at this time as well, some kind of dysregulated emotions for some of you. It feels like this is more an energy around you, however, someone you're trying to reach out to them, but they're being very walled off, or they're just not accessible to you emotionally. And it seems like with the Six of Pentacles, there is kind of this give and take that's happening. It does feel like there's some sort of charity. It almost feels like you're giving a lot of yourself, and you might not necessarily be receiving that back. But it actually seems like it maybe, I guess a better way to put this is you're being very supportive for someone who is coming up as a little immature, and that was actually kind of coming up in the pre-energy as well. There is someone who's not mature in this situation. Again, could potentially be you. Just saying, I'm not throwing shade, but these energies can come up in reverse, and it does take a lot of honesty to really figure out who is who with energy like that. But someone is going to help someone mature here. I do see that with the Six of Pentacles. And there may be some sort of boon that you're receiving as well. That some of you are going to get some sort of gift from someone. It's almost like whatever isn't being given to you emotionally, they might try and make up for it by giving it to you physically or monetarily, which is interesting. With this moon card in the mental position, this is definitely a time of uncertainty, of darkness, perhaps confusion. It's a very intuitive and dreamy time, although you might not really be clear on what it is that you need to do next. It's very Piscean and mysterious in that way. I do feel like this is kind of coming back to the dragonfly card that we had just a moment ago, where it's very important to be mindful of the state of your thoughts and to be very aware of your mind in general. What kind of thoughts are you thinking? And are you really in the right place to make a decision right now? Maybe some of you are holding off on making a decision. Maybe this isn't even an issue of maturity. Perhaps it's actually a very mature thing for some of you to delay making a decision, to not rush into things, as sometimes can happen with Gemini and with this dragonfly energy here. This energy is actually very similar to Gemini in a lot of ways too. But it does feel like kind of taking stock of things before you're going forward. It seems like there is kind of this mystery, this slowing down at the beginning of May, which isn't super surprising because we are in Taurus season and we are going to be having planets that are kind of moving into Taurus. So again, there's going to be a steadier, slower pace, perhaps even a break in some areas of our life. So just be mindful of that. You might want to delay making a decision, especially if it's a very emotional decision at the start of the month, if you can. But it does seem like there is still there's something good coming your way. Interesting. We have the snake that just flew out with the bat. And I believe this actually came out for another sign. I want to say Aries or Leo. So some of you might be dealing with a fire sign, which came out at the start of the read with that Page of Wands. It does feel like, this person could be very either water or fire heavy in their chart, but it does feel like there is kind of closing off. There is still some healing that's happening, some shedding, and with bat, this does indicate an end as well. I feel like there's a lot of potential for you that you're tapping into, that you're really getting in touch with the snake card, getting back into that inner magic, that kundalini, that life force, that thing that gives you passion. And maybe that's why you are taking pause. I do feel like intuitively there's a lot of information that's going to be trying to come through, and it's very important that you do this at the beginning of May. Really meditate, really get in touch with whatever your intuition is trying to tell you, because it does feel like a powerful window for you. And Bat, again, is also a very psychic card as well. It's very attuned to the subtle, and having that echolocation, I do also think of clairaudience or receiving messages from the other side. So some of you may very well be receiving some sort of spiritual information or spiritual guidance that's going to be very helpful for you at the beginning of May. So pay attention and definitely meditate if you don't already, or continue to at the start of the month. I'm now going to look at the second half of May, or the outcome of all of these situations where everything is going. This could potentially be playing out into June or beyond as well. Again, time is very fluid in these readings, so just take it as it applies. Interesting. So we have this Three of Cups that came up, Six of Wands, and Ace of Swords in reverse. So this is really interesting. It does seem like there's definitely going to be a celebration for some of you by the end of the month. You're definitely going to be feeling very victorious with these two cards together here. So that's very good to see. I feel like you might just be reconnecting with old friends or old lovers, or just getting back in touch with the people who make you feel good, who support you, just feeling very a part of a group or a part of a person's life. There's definitely a lot of celebration that's coming here. This is just a beautiful, beautiful card, and it feels like it's going to be happening in a very physical or daily way. So either at work or at home or with your family. It just seems like very, very nice. And this could also just be someone who's very close to you as well. It just feels like a coming together after a period of being apart, or not seeing things eye to eye. With the Six of Wands, I feel like you're feeling very victorious. You're coming out feeling very strong by the end of May, which is wonderful to see. Whatever it was you were dealing with, it does feel like you will triumph over. I feel like there is some sort of victory. Someone may be returning from far away. Someone may have actually gone out and now they're coming back on this horse here, and they're coming back very victorious. Someone who's very near and dear to your heart. So there could be, if you've been separated from a lover or have had time apart from someone very close to you, they could potentially be coming back towards the end of May. With this Ace of Swords in the mental position in reverse, I do still feel like mentally you're not going to be feeling totally clear. There's still going to be a lot of uncertainty for you, and that just seems pretty pervasive throughout May. You did come in pretty strong, but I don't know. It seems like for some reason there's just something that isn't clicking quite yet throughout May. And you might not even be able to identify all of these blessings. It might be hard for you to see certain things. There might be some complications communicating towards the end of the month as well. But I see this more as there is just, I feel like this is more an internal blockage for you. Especially with all of the emphasis that's been coming up with your mind and paying attention to your mind. I still feel like you're just going to be dealing with that for a while. There's going to be this lack of clarity internally. So don't jump into anything. Don't make any rash decisions right now. I am curious to get the last bit of animal wisdom for you. Here we go. So we have the mouse card. This is a very it can be a lot of mental energy. It's almost an anxious card when you think of a mouse kind of sneaking through your house and looking around to make sure that it's not being caught. It's very hyper-vigilant, very hyper-aware, and aware of its surroundings. And this could potentially be you, Gemini, that you have all of this mental energy, you have all of this uncertainty, and all of this really strong emotional stuff that's happening for you. A lot of stuff is happening in your psyche, a lot of upheaval. And I think the best way for you to deal with all of that energy is to actually put it into something else. Mouse can be very small-minded, which isn't great, which isn't usually a good thing. But when you apply that to a project or some sort of task that requires an exacting eye or a lot of detail-oriented focus, it's actually very beneficial and useful. So it's telling you to use this energy in a way that will be productive instead of using it to run your life. Yeah, because mouse out of control is very controlling and very nitpicky. So I feel like it's important for you to put all of this mental energy towards something that will actually benefit you. And it does seem like whatever that is, there will be a nice reward that comes back to you. You will be very victorious in whatever it is that you're working on. Even if you don't have clarity for your own life, it seems like you can really put in a lot of insight into a project that you are working on or a project that you are beginning. I am not getting any more messages right now for you. Yeah, I think that is all. I do hope that this reading resonated for you and that you found it helpful. Make sure to hit like and subscribe and comment down below and let me know what is going on for you. If you would like to donate or book a private reading, I also have that information in the description box down below, so you're welcome to look at that. I also have an Instagram account where I post sporadic collective card readings and pick a card reading. So if you're interested in those, definitely check out my Instagram. It is the_Waymaker. And make sure to keep your eyes open for those love readings that will be coming out in a couple weeks. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye, Gemini.